Hi, Cinthia.
Hello.
Hi, thank you so much for being a guest in the Self-Love podcast. I think it's, for me, it's an honor to have you here. I've been appreciating your work for many years now, since I heard about you as collaborating with University of Aruba. So I know that you, Cinthia Quant, you're a psychologist for more than 7 years now. And I know you are super niched and super dedicated to actually empowering women in a way or another. And I know you finished a master's degree in interdisciplinary intervention for gender violence, correct? And then you used this amazing knowledge that you gathered and you worked with a foundation in Aruba, right? Mm-hmm. The foundation for supporting women. Yeah. And then you also work with HIAS, which is a well-known foundation for helping refugees. And even then you had a very dedicated multidisciplinary approach specifically for women, right?
Yes, women and girls.
And you went back after that to the foundation that now is called Fundación contra violencia domestico, contra violencia relacional. Excellent. So still helping women that are going through tough times.
Yes.
Thank you for that. Because also my career is dedicated to helping women and empowering women. And the main topic that I address in this podcast is the self-love. The conversation I want to have is, how do you think the woman of nowadays, with all the information available on the internet, right, about narcissism, about toxic relationships, about masculinity, femininity, and any other topics like that, how do you think a woman can still end up in a relationship where she's in danger in any way, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually?
Yeah. You know, I always ask myself that also, you know, but what I see is that even though there's so much information out there, sometimes it's like something that gets a lot. Mm-hmm. So it's difficult to differentiate, you know, what is real or how to do it. But when you're in it, because I'm working, as you said, 7 years in gender-based violence, and but I still, when I do trainings and I speak to people, I tell them, you know, this could happen to me even. So even though we have all this knowledge, it is possible because, you know, knowledge is key, is super important. That's one big part of it. But of course, you know, we still have a history. We still have things that we have learned, and we are trying to unlearn things that are not working. But it's a journey. So I think this generation, it's in a transitional mode. From, you know, all the things that happened before and the things we learned and we normalized, and now getting all this information and trying to, you know, say, like, to differentiate, okay, this I'm going to stay with it and this I have to leave. So this generation, that's why I think it's difficult, because you're trying to figure out what is real. And I think the new and more generations, you know, they are more aware, they're seeing some signs, not all, because again, we are still part of a bigger society. But that is what I think makes the difference of some people seeing and you know, identifying earlier than others. I always try to analyze situations of a person on with a ecological module, so individual, relation, community, and society. So this will influence on how you interact with people, depending on, you know, the things that I think it's good for me, and I think it's acceptable and not acceptable, what my family taught me and what my family believes, and what my community accepts, you know, what is available, the information, culture, and then on a society level, you know, even like government, what is criminalized, what is legal, what is not legal. So all of these things are going to influence, of course, a person, in understanding what is happening, and it will affect their boundaries. It will affect a lot of things. So, I might not have all the answer, but I think in that direction, I think that is what sometimes makes it difficult, to really have it figured out because of this transitional moment in time that we are now.
The
This
transition.
change, yes, because when we do like I tend to do like an exercise of understanding like gender stereotypes, and I will ask someone of the group to paint or to create this woman, a woman with the how she is dressed and the things she can do and things she cannot do and who is she, and then I ask the same thing of men. And if the group is big, I tell them, okay, paint a woman of before and a woman of now. And I ask them, how is it possible that there's difference, And those things, you see the different generations there, different people, but they still see women. And when you see that, you can see, okay, things that merged or continue in this generation, and things that they're no longer acceptable. Like before, they always put women, they take care of others, they cook, she cannot say anything, they take care of their husbands, they don't work, and when they talk about women now, women, they're empowered, they don't, they do what they want to do, they work, they are independent, they are influencers, so you see all these things, and I'm like, I try for them to see, how sometimes these things can come back, and people could interiorize it, think that this is who I am. This is on an individual level, this is who I am. I cannot leave my husband because, I cannot break my family. That is something you used to hear a lot before. But you might find someone in this generation that will tell you that. Because that person learned it from their family or maybe the culture, and they continue to repeat that. So it's a lot of things, going on, I think, in this generation. A lot of, my mother used to say, I was raised like this. And now my generation, I'm like, I don't want that, I understand you were raised like that, and she raised me, so I could have chosen to stay with her of how she was raised. But now I choose to, break it and do not continue with it. But it's not so easy. It's not so easy to let go of those things that, we have learned, and that's why, it's a constant journey of learning and unlearning, learning and unlearning. So.
And what would you say is one of the, if you would have 2, 3, 4 traits or beliefs from the past that are the most sensitive right now to predisposing a woman to have a toxic relationship?
What I continue to hear still is the one, and very, maybe I would say that word, the also impactamento. I heard like, I cannot break my family, quebra mi familia. Because that responsibility of, what will other things, even though now, we're more open and divorce is okay, and but you still hear it in some generations, and because we see a lot of women from different ages, and they don't want to break their family because they think, we have to fight to see, the person will change, or you hear also, we have to carga cruz.
To carry your cross, to carry your destiny.
Cross, yes, and they think like that's their destiny, that they cannot find anyone else. That this is the life this is my partner, and relationships how they are. That's it's normal. So they have normalized a way of seeing and thinking that is love. And I always go back. So when you were talking to someone, you were analyzing from the ecological model. Okay, what is like the factors that are influencing someone to stay in a relationship like that? and it might be something personal, no? Like, I know the person loves me, this is the way, the person does that because,
So finding excuses for the behavior of
yes,
the other one.
of course, because, it's difficult to say, the person wants to hurt me. I think, this is a little bit, sensitive, but I always say, if your parents, the first, primeros entes de amor, how do you say that, first, like, contact with love, or the ones who are supposed to support you, there's a lot of violence going on. What do we expect of others? So we're already normalizing some sort of way of being treated, and then when we reach to the point of having a partner, we think, it's okay to, not literally, but we think, that's part of the relationship that you're gonna have. So what I've heard is, I cannot leave the person because of the situation of families are gonna think, or they don't want to hurt their family, because they think they might not get a second chance. We also seen a lot of financial independency that makes it very difficult for people to leave, because we're living in a situation, the economy is very, so they really think, and they're not really thinking about themselves, but if they have kids, that will make it even difficult for them to be able to go outside of that relationship. Okay.
The difficulty, I would say, it's still mental, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's the first part, because even though you might have all the support outside, having financial support, and having organizations that will help, and having law, but inside, if you don't believe, yes, that that you are worthy of, then it's going to be very difficult. That makes it more difficult. So even going back to the ecological module, you will see all the things that will affect the person, or influence the person. And if you go to the individual one, and that is the hardest one to work with, because it's going back deeper, it's understanding what is affecting that person, what did they learn, how do they see the world, how do they see themselves, because sometimes they don't even recognize themselves anymore. I use a way of explaining this, of you're what, the phrases you put like magnets. Sometimes there are like a combination of things that people tell them that they are, but they don't really know who they are. Okay, there are a combination of things that other people have put, the magnets on the fridge. So I always try to go back to that. Even though all of the things that is going on, we try to go back to the person of who you are, and what you want to be, and what is important for you, and changing that narrative from being selfish to having, self-love. It's amor propio. Because maybe somebody, mixed that word for them and thought, when you're taking care of yourself, you're being selfish, and it's not being selfish, it's self-love, it's amor propio. And when they realize that, when they start seeing themselves back, it's like a shocking moment for them, because then it's like a whole life passed in front of them, and they're like, when did all this happen?
Yeah, and as you said, it starts early on, with the belief that you have to keep your family, that you're responsible to keep your family united, which already puts you in some sort of a possible trap, because if the family is going good and the relationships are healthy, then it's fantastic to have that kind of attitude. But when the relationship is toxic, or the family is not going well, then it becomes very dangerous to stay very attached to that belief.
Yes.
And what I hear from you also is the second part, like people lose who they are, right? You're in a relationship for so long, and you're just full of these stickers that other people put about you. And while you were saying that, I was thinking, what's left when you've been with someone for so many years, and all the stickers you get is like, you're ugly, you're stupid, you don't look good, you're not good enough, you're not worthy. And that happens a lot.
That happens a lot. They sell the idea so good that you end up believing it.
Yeah.
And first you have to realize that has happened, and that is a big shock. It's very painful. And when you make it visible, then you can talk about it. If you don't talk about it, it doesn't exist. And if it doesn't exist, you're not going to do something about it. So even going back to that realization of understanding what happens to you, in the relationship, or even in your past, in your childhood, things that you might have lived, it's like so impactful for them. And then to start the journey, okay, now that I see, now that I understand, and what I've seen with survivors is it's really like very impactful of how could that happen to me, and the injustice they feel.
Yeah.
It's sometimes so hard to get out of that first part, but I try to all of us, it's important to acknowledge it, because when you acknowledge it, then you can start to work on it. And then you start understanding, okay, who are you, what do you like, what do you need, what is negotiable, what is not negotiable, because also those are the things that we didn't learn as a child. And if you see it like gender-wise, we were more like a property, so we didn't have a saying in things. So now we are also learning in our journey to be able to say, what do I like and what do I don't like in a intimacy, in a relationship. A lot of women, they don't know themselves, they don't know their body, because that was also, we were a object of reproduction, or taking care of others, or just pleasure for others,
For raising children,
yes,
or
and
taking care of the home.
And you taking care of you, or you knowing your body and that was not on the table.
It was not time or interest for that from no one. Absolutely. And now the idea of loving yourself is selfish. Maybe for the women that are watching this and still have the idea that loving themselves is selfish, which I think there are a lot, because also in my experience as a therapist and working with women for more than 13 years now, so a lot of cases, and I work with women across the globe. I think like 90% of my new clients, when they show up and we start the process of loving themselves more, even men actually, but women so much, the idea that won't I be selfish if I start setting boundaries, and if I start having rules for my life, and if I start asking for more. So I think it's one of the most common issues that keeps people stuck right now in unhappiness, and later on even in toxicity. How would you explain to a woman that loving herself is not selfish, and that will actually save her life mentally, physically, emotionally, or spiritually?
Yeah, I think, one of the first things is understanding why you have the right to exist. Because, why even are we talking about this? Why even did that happen to us? And it's part of our history. If we see, society is organized like a pyramid. Some are on the top and others, are just down, and that's the way it's organized. And we're trying to change it in a more circular flowing. But that's another topic. But women in this traditional patriarchal, society are beneath, even children and nature. So of course, being, seeing less, we were thinking, for many years we thought, we don't have a right. We are here to serve others. Okay. So, and you can see it again in history. When a woman gets married, do they get the last name? From a man. When a child is born, who did they get the last name? From a man. When a property was, before property was for everyone, but when it became private property, it was for men. And then when the man passed, or the father, then it went to the son. So that is our history. We were property of something. So you don't have feelings, you don't need to, So even though we're not right now thinking, we are a property or something, but that is part of our history, and we are cutting, changing and learning. But sometimes we are now living and saying, we are empowered, but we don't understand, what happened, why our power was taken, and now that we need to take it back and understand our place. So I would say, understand that you are valued, you have a right, you are also a member of this community, and that you are not less of, because always that position we're always seen less. Children, they're seen less. If you want to insult someone, call them a child, and then they will feel less. If you want to insult a man, you could tell him he acts like a woman or acts like a girl. Why is it that an insult? Because it's less. Okay, so if we understand and really, see how as society we're just as we move. Sometimes we are, on top. Sometimes we are equal. Sometimes it changes. Sometimes I need to sit down and listen. And if we see that transition, they will also feel the flexibility that it's okay. I'm not gonna be, I don't have to be punished for saying what I want. It's not something bad. It's not that I'm being rebel, because they use these kinds of words. No, women are witches, bruja, or it's rebelde because she's saying what she wants, and so they have like demonized it before, and now we are changing it and thinking it's just us. But going back to what you were asking, I think it's understanding your right to exist, understanding your right that you are worthy, you are valued, and that it's okay to take care of you. If you take a person back to that and they really understand it and really interioriza.
Yes, exactly. Embody it and allow it to have a sensation and emotion attached to it, not just an idea that sounds good.
No, it's really, really, really understand it, and then will make it, the moves that you take, the decisions that you make, in your life, it's gonna feel like I'm doing this for me, I need this. So even with the boundaries, it's understanding why houses have what do you call
fence.
The fence. So it's a way to protect your house. So with boundaries, we need to protect our house. We need to protect ourselves, and it has nothing bad. Nothing. You're not with the intention of hurting others. The intention is protecting yourself. And if that's okay, if that's what you want, then nobody can say you're doing something wrong. So I think what I'm trying to say is, it's like redefining or the words that we use, because they have a peso. It's heavy. They have a weight, and when you liberate them from that weight and redefine their words and how they are understanding, that will make them more free to receive all this love from themselves and then from others, because that's the other thing also, receiving love from others. Maybe they don't think they deserve it. So I think it's a journey. It's a lot of things going on. It's a lot of things that women are going to. Men, you mentioned men, and they also have a whole history, that's important to understand, and how they interact with each other. But I think women, we have a powerful story. A lot of pain, a lot of knowledge, a lot of love, a lot of things have happened through our lives and history. And when we understand all those components, and we need to understand the pain, so we need to learn what we want to continue and what we cannot, repeat. So it's gonna be part of the journey, but it's not the only thing. That pain that we have lived, through generations, and all the violence, because women are exposed to a lot of violence. When we're finally in our process of healing, in understanding that does not define us, and I think women now, they're owning back their lives, taking back control, and that is beautiful to see because they're finally living. You know, I ask myself, I go back and think, you know, of all these women I work with or the stories I've heard of, and I ask myself, you know, did they really have a chance to live? Because they were under others and just, you know, doing what
Yeah.
others were said. And I think, you know, I'm very grateful, or, you know, I think it was very orgullo and very too close to my heart, all the work that all these women did for me to be able to be here,
Yes.
to be able to have, you know, when to study abroad, or to access school so I could vote, so I can. We had women that lost their lives for this, you know.
Yes.
And that's why, you know, I think the time, if we don't support each other, like that sorority, like I can't find the name right now, pero si sororidad, supporting each other, that is one of the things also that I think what makes us stronger. At the beginning, they separated us because if you divide, you know, it will make us even easier to conquer, or to. And now women are uniting, they're joining forces, they're taking care of each other, and that is beautiful to see, because that is one of the things I think that is going to make us succeed in our journey of taking back control of our lives. You know, I don't know if I answered your question.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I think that's
was-
really beautiful. I think that's really beautiful, and I really love with how much compassion you speak about this, because sometimes, it's a matter of being able to embody that, to understand with a lot of respect all the pain that women have been through in the history. When you were talking about that, I was thinking about the Inquisition time, right? When women were just burned because they were getting attention, because they were not belonging to a man, because they were pretty, or because they were intelligent, or because they had a voice. So women like me and you now, you know, in Inquisition time, women that have a voice, that get educated, that militate for a cause, that maybe they don't belong to a specific house or a specific man or name, we would be in danger.
Yes.
We would be in danger, you know.
Mhm.
So the fact that now we can stay here and we can actually empower other women, it's an honor.
It's an honor. Exactly.
And I think it's a matter of a lot of compassion. Start with that part of a lot of compassion to where we arrived in history. And after that, a matter of seeing yourself as equal.
Mhm.
As soon as possible, start seeing yourself as equal.
Mhm.
Not with just other women or with men, with just every other creature in the universe, because you exist and you're alive. And that's enough of a reason for you to deserve to be healthy and well.
Yes, exactly.